Fabulous. Three, two, one, go. Okay, so welcome everybody to LinkedIn for Breakfast. Wonderful to have you here. So, kind of our game plan here is to be able to kind of go deep on a little bit of marketing madness every single week. And today is definitely one of those days. It's a bit of a big picture type conversation today. It's around doubling your income and working half the time. And genuinely, it can be completed. I'm going to show you a few different ways to approach your business and to how set things up for success, and also making sure that you're setting things up not to work every hour of every day. So that's the game plan for today. Does it sound good? Give us some thumbs up if we sound good. All right. Okay, good stuff. Thank you. So let me share screens and we'll rock and roll. And I've got a few handouts for you as well today. So don't run off before getting the handouts. So as we said, double your income, work half the time. And before we start, I always like to just kind of let people know what the mission is. What's my sinister goal for putting on these events every single week? And really, our game plan here at LinkedIn for Breakfast is to make this a really great place for people to come along and learn how to harness LinkedIn for both business development. That's the bit that gets your phone ringing, inbox pinging with leads, as well as brand expansion. That's the bit that gets you recognized and to make you a personality. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be a personality per se, but a top voice, a well-known and respected thought leader within the world's largest social network, which is LinkedIn, world's largest business social network, which is LinkedIn. And so we want to make this the best place on earth to learn LinkedIn for free. So that's our mission. And we hope that through events like this and also our great little community that we've got here, LinkedIn for Breakfast community, we can achieve that mission. And if you're not part of this community, please do jump in. It's totally free. There's nothing to charge. It's the whole point of this. All the recordings, all the help and training and support that we've got is in this community. So do jump in there. Flora's put the link to that in the chat now. So if you're not in it, do jump into this community and you will be able to get you'll be able to get access today and be able to get all the replays and swipe files that we'll be sharing in there, and plus network with other members, which is always great. So our agenda for today is we want to show you how to double your income and work half the time. That is the promise. So we're going to break that down into two segments and then we're going to cover that off so we work out what we're trying to do and how we're going to do it. And then I'm opening up for questions at the end to be able to help out and to see how else we might be able to further expand on some of the examples that we give. Cool. So let's start off with this quote. And I love this quote. This is kind of the Alice in Wonderland quote. And she comes across the Cheshire Cat with this big smile. And she asks the cat, well, what road do I take? And you kind of feel a little bit like this in business, where should I go to? What's my next move? Which route should I take? And of course, the cat then says, well, where are you going? And Alice goes, well, I'm not sure. I don't know where I'm going, right? And business feels a little bit like that. You kind of know that you've got to keep on doing this growth thing, but actually, to what? What is the end result? What is the target? Because if we don't know, then it doesn't matter what road we take, right? Because any road will get us there. So I love that. And so what we need to do is we need a plan. We need a target. Otherwise, we're going to get lost amongst all the shiny things and growing a business. And I think, as you probably all know, particularly when you're coming and learning about social networking and all that sort of stuff, there's so many bloody shiny things out there. There's LinkedIn automation tools that you can get distracted with. There's LinkedIn pods that you can get distracted with. And like both of those things I think are great, but without knowing what are you trying to achieve from LinkedIn, how are you going to get there? And moreover than that, why do you even want to be on LinkedIn? Why do you want these leads? Where are you going with the business? And I think that's super important. So let's take that first piece. Let's think about this and break it down. So we want to know, where are we heading? So first stage, we're going to think about what's your target? What's the target for your business? Where are you trying to go? And then once we know where we want to go, how much do we need to sell to reach that target, right? And so once we know what that revenue target is to be able to hit the ultimate goal, then how do we optimize our time to be able to achieve that with doing less ourselves? And then finally, how do we get all the leads to make all of this happen, right? So these are the kind of four pieces we're going to cover today. So what's your target? And so I think this is important. And yes, many of you may well have done this before or done this exercise before, but I'm going to put this into the chat. And this link is really worth having open in a tab and keeping this for after you do this session. Just click it now, have it open, it's in there. And what you're going to find is you're going to come onto a page that will look not like that, but will look like this. And there's a little bit of a kind of a recap recording here for you of some of the key things that we'll talk about today. But most importantly, there's these links in here, which is access the Google Sheet templates. So you've got the resource that we want to talk about here. And this Google Sheet template is going to help you to think about income targets. And this is a real life example. I did this a few years ago, and I'm more than happy to share this just because I think sometimes when you're using a tool, it's worth actually looking at real numbers, because then once you've got real numbers, you can kind of slot your own numbers in and you can actually see it as opposed to just kind of fake stuff, right? And so what I want to achieve here is for you to think about, well, what would an ideal lifestyle look like for you, and then come to a figure for you personally. Because if we're in business and we're a small business together, if we are not actually thinking, how does this business drive the lifestyle that I need? How does this business create the income that I personally need to be able to have that time, money, freedom, life that we quit our current job or we sacked off running and working for someone else in order to generate our own income and our own time and our own freedom? If we don't know what in an ideal situation that would look like, then we don't know actually what our target is and where we're going to. So you want to have a figure. And so what I've done here is I've just kind of added up a few of the things, such as, cars and summer holidays and kids' school fees if you got kids, or holidays and family gym memberships and insurances and all the rest of it, and just sort of chucked it into here and looked at the kind of monthly and annual payments and how that worked out, right? And so once we know this, and so we know what the monthly repayments are and the annual repayments are for this, we can actually work out, well, how much would we need after tax to have this ideal lifestyle? Not just nice disposable income, but also money going into investments and savings and all that sort of fun stuff, right? And sort of notes and all the rest of it on the side. So you can sort of have a little play about with this. But what this means in an ideal scenario, you can get to a figure that you would need after tax, right? And look, this is not any flexing, or there's not anything silly about this, but it's around actually looking at what you would be like in the future, right? And so from my perspective, it was 17 grand after tax, right? And so, well, okay, fine, that's interesting. So if I've now got that figure, then what would I need to achieve with my business revenue if I was able to take that home after tax? And so I'm going to show you using the Profit First method, which is an amazing book that you should definitely buy if you haven't read it, how you can target that figure and achieve that with, in this example, taking home 50% of your business revenue after tax, right? And so by showing this example, that means that we can achieve this for 34K. So our business doesn't, I've got a business that's called the $1 Million Sprint to help people get to $1 million in revenue. That's 84K per month each month, right? In this example, just to achieve that figure for this ideal lifestyle, it would only need to turn over 34K, right? So you think about, well, actually, I want to get my business to $1 million in revenue, or whatever it is, right? Actually, in this example, to have the most ideal scenario, we only need to earn £34,000 per month from our business to have all of the things that we wanted. And so now we actually have a target, and that number is very specific. So I'd love you to do this exercise to work out what that actually looks like. And then once we know this, then we can go down here and work out, well, if we had an average client value for our business, so on average, a client would spend, say, 4,500 with you. And what does that actually mean? Well, the example here is based upon selling a 3K product for 6 months. So if you sold something for 3, and I know I'm going to hit you a lot of figures here, but just bear with me because it's really worth thinking about this, right? So if I know that I'm going to sell something for £3,000 for a course, a program, a group, whatever it is, right? And that only is for 6 months. But 50% of the people that I work with roll on to the second 6 months. That means that my average 12-month value is 4.5 grand, because it's £3,000 plus then 50% of people go on to the next stage. So then I cut that in half. And so it's 4.5 grand, right? So to achieve this 34K, I would only need to sell per week 1.9 sales to be able to achieve my kind of 7.5 sales per month, to be able to get to the 91 sales. Because actually my target figure here is essentially looking at what this would be, how many of these I would need per month to be able to hit my goal, right? So in this instance, to achieve 34,000, I would only need to make 7.5 sales per month, which means that that's less than 2 a week. That's really exciting to go, wow, only 2 sales a week. Okay, surely I could make 2 sales a week. Surely I could put together something that creates 2 sales per week. Okay, well, let's have a think about that. How many demos, how many sales meetings do I need to make 1 sale, right? And most of the clients that we work with, if you get the right systems in place, you should be able to close 1 sale in 3. So if you have 3 meetings with interested prospects, you should be able to sell 1 person into your product or service. Make sense? Well, great. So that means that we need to have, and I'm just going to round these figures up, say 6 meetings a week to make those 2 sales a week. Great. So it's only 6 one-hour appointments a week. So you can see how actually we're going to then start to attribute some of this into our time in a second as well. So that's 6 one-hour appointments a week. Nice. Okay. So that's cool. So if we know that, then actually what happens about people not showing up? Because that's a real thing. You get a no-show rate in business. So I know in my business, every 4 people that book, 3 people show up. So we have a 3 out of 4 show up rate. So a 3 out of 4 show up rate means that we would need 1.33 bookings to make sure that we actually had the right amount of ratio. So we have a 1.33 booking rate. So that means that to get my 6 meetings a week that show up, I need to be booking 7.5 in this instance, or 30 meetings a month to be able to get my 22 meetings per month, right? So you can start to see this ratio, right? So let's say that we want to have, for our 6 bookings, we're going to need to have 8. So let's round it up because it's just easier, right? So we need to have 8 bookings a week to be able to get our 6 appointments that show up to be able to make our 2 sales per week. Right, so it's 8. Okay, we can do this. We can do this. So therefore, how many leads do we need to make a booking? So if you need to have 5 good hot leads that people come in and download ebooks or come along to events or whatever it is. So for every 5 prospects that kind of come into your world, you get 1 booking from them. So that means we now need to have around 40 bookings a week, 40 leads a week. Okay, right, and this is the last one. So I know sometimes lots of numbers kind of actually start to kind of baffle the brain, and I get that, but this is why you've got this sheet, and you can play about with these figures, and you can start to watch this back and download what I'm saying, because it's super important because of these last 2 sections here. Because one, if I now think about, well, where do my current leads come from? So do you run ads? Do you do LinkedIn outreach? Do you do organic social? Do you get anything for your website? If you can see that, start looking per week and start plugging these numbers in. And what I'd recommend to you is plug in all the things that you get organic leads from. Maybe you go to like a business networking group. Maybe you're part of BNI or For Networking or whatever it is, and you get a lead or 2 every time that you turn up to one of these things. Stick that in there. If you get people sending you, inquiries into LinkedIn, that's LinkedIn organic. Stick it in there, right? So put all your organic stuff in that you know that you can rely on each week to get inquiries. If you're not getting any, then obviously that tells you a story that you need to really start thinking about this. And I always say, start at the top of the funnel if you want to grow. So start with leads, because leads help to be able to create appointments, which help to be able to create sales, right? And so here's what we're looking at, right? And then once you've got a figure, so in this instance, I need to get 38 leads per week. So if I look at this and my organic leads through things like doing my LinkedIn outreach, etc., is going to give me 19 leads. So to get to 38, I need to chop up the other 50% through ads. And so ads is great because ads is where you can actually pull the lever and spend a little bit more, you get a bit more. Whereas the organic is kind of, it's time based. And so it's not as reliable as ads, right? So let's look at this example. So the VAs, so you guys probably know that we give our clients virtual assistants, and those virtual assistants run their LinkedIn for them, do their cold email outreach, etc. So just for this example, you can see here, if we look at the cost of that, which might be half a VA, a VA for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, that might be 300 quid. And so you can see here that I've attributed 33% of that marketing cost to each one of these people. And so there you go. So 100 quid per month is what we're spending, of a third of that. And then they're running that. So great. So I now know that if I'm getting this many leads per week, then actually the cost of that is going to be 25 quid. So then the cost per lead, I can see what my cost per lead is for those channels. Great. So I now can work out, I can spend per month £300 on getting those 19. And then I need to top up through ads. So my cost per lead on my Facebook ads, and this is a real number, is £4.51. So I know to be able to achieve 19, I need to spend £85 per week to get to those leads. Now, I'm going to stop talking numbers now, but I just want to give you the crescendo before we move on to the next bit. Here's the point, okay? In this instance, all I need to spend per month is £642. That gives me a VA and that gives me ad budget. It's only £624 on these ads to be able to generate the 38 leads per week that I need. And if I can get those 38 leads per week, and remember, this £642 is a fraction, it's 15% of one sale, £3,000, well, £4,500 average client value. But that £642 is going to give me the 152 leads that I need to generate the 22 show ups of appointments to get my close to 8 sales per month to achieve my 34K revenue. That, my friends, is super important because I now know and I can see the efficiencies and I can see the numbers all over this. And that really gives you the levers, the flex. And if you start to look at this and go, oh, I have got nothing in my leads. I've got no data going on here. I've got nothing. Then that will be the reason why. And I'm just presuming that you maybe aren't achieving the revenue that you want, and you maybe aren't getting the demos that you need to make the sales that you need. And so, yes, everybody will have a word of mouth piece, right? Word of mouth is what happens when you do this long enough and you are good at what you do. But if you are stuck underneath the word of mouth glass ceiling, you can't see it. It's because you haven't been able to smash through that word of mouth glass ceiling, because you are not looking at this. I need to buy some leads, or I need to get some leads through effort and energy to be able to generate the appointments that I need, to be able to generate the sales that I need. And if you're measuring it, what gets measured gets improved. So this is where we're heading. So I just wanted to show you that. So I know there was a lovely comment in here, which was like, oh, so we should just create a budget. The budget is only half the piece, right? So the budget is, this is the ideal budget for your lifestyle. But now I wanted to show you how can you actually make this into a system that generates this amount of sales, right? And this is the system. Cool. So once we know this, so this is how, and when I say double your income, I don't actually want you to double your income because it's just an arbitrary number. That figure is just how I can get you here, right? I want you to know exactly, specifically what the income you want to hit is. And then once you do that, I want you to hit the income target. And so for this, in this instance, and this is the cool thing, and this is not about, like trying to show off or anything like that. Once I did this and I hit that figure, that was great. And I was able to achieve that. And then I grew, and then you set new targets and new goals and have new things, and you go again, and then you set different business goals, etc., and you can grow from there. But it's cool once you actually set a target and hit it, and then you can always expand off after that, which is what we did with this. But I really like this because this was a set a goal and achieve it type thing, and I think you all can do this as well. Good. So let's get back to our agenda for today. And so that's what we've got to hit into the goal. Now, what is it? How do we get the revenue? What should we be selling? Okay, so this is the big thing about, well, where are we going? Well, what should we be selling? Now, I think one of the problems that everybody has is they try and create something that looks like this. And this is what we would call some sort of value ladder, some sort of like ascending model of product, where you give people a lead magnet and then you give them an initial offer for like $10, and then you try and get them onto another tier for 100 quid, and then you try and get them onto another thing for 1,000, and then bam. And what you've got here is just a load of stuff that you've got to deliver and sell, and takes your time, right? Do not do this, honestly, because your world will start to look like the classic world like this. And I did this with my marketing agency when I first grew, is that if you're, hang on, where's my pen? If this is you, and then suddenly you're having to sell to people who are on a bronze package, and then sell to people on a gold, and then you've got people on a silver, and then suddenly someone wants to have a platinum, or you've got a bespoke thing over here, and then you've got like a free like $10 thing over here, and you've got something else over here. Suddenly you might have like 2 or 3 clients on this, 2 or 3 clients on this, 2 or 3 clients, and you're having to sharp a bit here, a bit here, a bit here, you know, boom, boom, boom. And then you've got to do your own marketing. So I've got to do my own marketing, and then I've got to go to a networking breakfast, and then someone says, oh, do you want to come speak on a stage? And I'm like, and your energy is like, boom, like it's just tear your hair out type stuff. And then suddenly someone wants something a little bit different. They don't want a bronze or the gold. They want something, this thing in the middle, and it's a special magic thing just for them because you like them, right? Honestly, you just get pulled all over the shop. Just don't do this. Do what I call free to flagship. Blow their minds with something free, and then sell them one product. Don't sell them a variety solution. Give them something great for free, right? So F2F. So blow their minds with free, right? So when I start these sessions, we want this to be the best place on earth to learn LinkedIn for free, right? We want to give you everything we can. We want to give you the tools, the resources, the swipe files. We have it as part of our mantra. We get you a free community. We want to blow your minds with free because we really need to demonstrate that we care, that we know what we're talking about, and what we talk about works. And you take it and you use it for free and you get results for it. That's what really trying to create the best place on the planet for free for people looks like. And if you can take a little bit of that, you will build a big audience and you will become a thought leader. And you can't do that overnight, but you keep on showing up. You keep on showing. I've been doing these weekly calls every single week. I even do it when I'm on holiday every single week because I want to try and make this the best place and genuinely want to. I built a team around trying to make this great. Then at the right time, we open the door for our flagship product, right? And what this is not a suite of loads of different things that you can buy. You can have a little bit in here, because what happens, you buy a little bit of this, and then you go, I didn't quite solve my pain, so I want to try a little bit of this. I didn't solve my, so, and before you know it, they spin off and they go and buy the something, you know, the actual solution from somewhere else. Just sell them the solution, right? If you solve one thing, don't try and sell them a variety of solutions. Sell them the one collated product. Gather all of this up and put it into one product and make it the thing that they should buy. And so then when you've built all the credibility with them and you have a conversation with someone, they are basically thinking, do I see you as someone who can help me solve this or not? And so if I think yes, then I'm going to buy your flagship product. If I think no, then fine, they're not going to buy from you. But it means that you can actually genuinely help them get the result. And that's how you put together these products, right? So if you are, let me just get rid of this. There we go. Oh, no, hang on. There we go. If you are trying to sell something, you're trying to put together a program, right? So a lot of people are coaches on here, or marketing companies, or business services. Think about that result that your flagship gives you. Think about where they are now. Okay, so where are they now? And most people are selling to the person that was them a while ago. So they remember you got this pain, that pain, you got this issue, that I remember when I was in that place. And if you want to have this result, there's this shiny place that you can go where you're able to be able to get to this revenue, or be able to do this, or be able to earn this amount of money. That's where you want to be able to sell. So people buy the result from you. They want to buy the six pack from you. They want to buy the wealth from you. They want to buy the happiness. They want to buy the de-stressing. They want to buy the team that's high performing from you. And where they are now is they don't have that. And your product just needs to show them the journey from where they are now to the result. And that might have, say, 4 or 5 steps. And if you've got 4 or 5 steps to get to that stage, then that becomes your program. And if you can go and take that program and, let me just give me 2 seconds. I need to shift myself across. Can I do that? No, don't do that. Here we go. There we go. Great stuff. So if you know that you can put together a program that looks like this, then put this into some sort of delivery where you take these 5 steps and you put this into some sort of online course, program, done for you type product. So maybe it's an online course which has got these 5 steps, and you gather it up. But then I talk about, if you're selling this as a program, as a coaching program, for example, you could do the 3 C's. So you can do course, drop-in clinic, where people are dropping in and getting your help and support, and you could then add a community in, right? So course, clinic, community, to be able to help people go from now to the result. And that's how you can package up that journey into something that's evergreen. So there's learning here, there's drop-in and touch points and time with you here, and there's also peer-to-peer in here. And it's similar, in a similar way, we also did this with our marketing agency. So instead of doing the course, clinic, community, if you were trying to put a group coaching program together, but as a marketing agency, what we did is we packaged up this journey and we said, great, we're going to do all this stuff for you. So we showed them all these things that we were going to do. And we created a service offering that wasn't just, oh, you can buy some SEO from us. This is when I was a marketing agency, or we can buy some website from us. We said, well, you're going to need a website here. You're going to need some SEO here. You're going to need some ads here. You're going to need some pay-per-click Google ads there. And we then packaged up the journey into a staged approach, told them it was a 6-month program, and it only cost, X amount of pounds or thousands of pounds in here. And then people brought it because, again, they wanted the result. So it doesn't matter if you're doing this for people or you're showing them how to do it in some sort of course coaching clinic. It's still the journey, and they still want to buy the result, and they will justify logically the journey and the time that you're going to tell them. So by demonstrating that and creating that as a diagram, it will really help. Cool. So that's what to sell, and that's where we're going. Now, how do you streamline your time? And so the streamlining your time with this is thinking about this from a delivery perspective, right? So if you think, right, that we need to have 2 sales per week, so that's going to equal those 6 hours of sales meetings, right? So that's your sales meetings. Now, if you are going to use that course, clinic, community, you could have 100 clients and you are still only doing 3 drop-in clinics a week because they're group drop-in clinics, right? And you can still sell that for a $3,000 product, right? So that means that you're only doing 3 hours of delivery in that instance. Now, if you are doing that as an agency, then maybe what you want to think about is making sure, and we did this, we brought in campaign managers to be able to do the client communication, and we then outsourced all of the actual doing to team members. So I even spent less time. So I'm only going in as the mascot to really go in and help with client campaigns. And so again, I might only be seeing clients 1 or 2 times a year, which again, with 100 clients, if you think about that's 200 appointments a year. So say you're seeing them a couple of times, because you've got to put management together. This is the lovely thing about doing this stuff for people. Hang on, I'm just getting a calculator out. So say you might see clients 2 times a year. So that's 200 appointments for 100 clients divided by your 52 weeks. So that's 3 appointments a week in terms of there. So again, that's 3 hours of delivery. That works out quite nicely, doesn't it? So again, so 3 hours of delivery if you make sure that you put these things together, right? And then we're going to have our 1 weekly moment, right? So I'm going to show you this. So 1 weekly moment, okay? And that 1 weekly moment is your marketing moment. And I'm going to show you what that means in a second, but let me just add this up. That's 10 hours per week of intentional delivery. So 1 marketing hour per week, and I'm going to show you that in a second. 3 hours of delivery, 6 hours of sales calls. You can genuinely get your business set up so everything else is being done and you're just showing up to these most important places, which is making the sales, doing the delivery, and doing the key cornerstone piece of marketing per week, right? So that's the half the time piece. So let me just quickly show you this key cornerstone piece of marketing. And then I'll take some questions because there's quite a lot, and I know it's quite a lot. But here's the thing, right, gang? If you've got a week plan like this, right? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you decide that you want to do some sort of weekly moment. That might be a really great YouTube video, might be a podcast episode, might be an event like this, might be some sort of newsletter. This is your weekly moment, right? So say it's an event like this, right? So this is a 45-minute event for me. Obviously, it's 15 minutes of kind of, faffing around. Let's round it up to an hour for me. But I'm doing this live, and I've done this before, so I didn't need to prepare much. I just rocked up and did it, right? So that's my 1 hour weekly moment time. So how do I shape my entire social media strategy to make sure that this worked well? Well, we say have 13 different themes for your weekly moment, right? Why 13? Because 13 times by 4 quarters equals your 52 weeks. So you do the same 13 events or the same 13 themes 4 times a year. Now, I can't even remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday, let alone what Richard Ward put out on his social media 14 weeks ago. So, and I'm sure it was good. So the point being, you're never going to see the repetition, and your viewers are never going to see it. Or if they do, if they watch the same thing again, that's actually reinforcing some of the key messages, and you never say the same thing twice anyway. So that's not a problem. So you've got this weekly moment and you've got this rhythm. Then how do we make this the best week yet? Well, on Monday, we say do an engagement creator. So Matt is doing like a poll where people are voting on the theme. So if you do a yes, no poll on social media, talking about your theme of the week. So say your theme is around, I don't know, I'm just going to use one of my themes, or let's use the one for today, double your income, work half the time, right? That's my weekly one. So what we asked on Monday was, are you putting your prices up in 2025 or down, right? So it's a really nice, interesting one, but it creates a little bit of kind of razzmatazz around that, takes some controversy, people like saying yes and no, etc. So it spikes the algorithm, gets engagement, and it creates a market for us to go and DM these people to say, hey, thanks for your vote. By the way, we're doing an event on Wednesday. You should come along to it. And then that gets our bookings up on our event, right? And that's a preset poll that we also have 13 of these exact polls to match 13 of the themes, and we rinse and repeat those same polls. So again, once we've done it once, it's hyper efficient. Then Tuesday becomes Promo Tuesday. So that's a post where we promote the fact we're running the event tomorrow, because this gives reach, means that these people are most likely to see the promo post. And so then that helps to be able to give a leg up to this post. And then again, we get more bookings into the event. We do a final reminder set of emails here to get the final push for people coming into the event. Great. Now we've got people who are booking. We do a call to action in the event, and then we can get some one-to-ones booked off the event, right? That's the whole point. You give a good experience, you can follow people up. So this is what we call the fill part of the week, to fill the event. And then you've got the follow part of the week, which is where you follow up the event. So Thursday, we call it Replay Thursday, where you put a post out to say, hey, who wants the replay? It was a really great event. We covered this, this, and this. And then you get people saying, yeah, we love the replay. And of course, you then send them the replay. And then the replay also will call them into the one-to-one. And then bam, you're going to get bookings. Great. And then on Friday, to back up all of this activity, then you can do Share a Win Friday. And what's Share a Win Friday? We show a case study or a testimonial or a video testimonial of someone who you've done some of this work for. So from our instance, it'll be someone where we've been able to help them to grow and they've been able to package up their product and double their income and work half the time. And sharing this case study then gives you credibility for all the thought leadership that you've been giving before, right? And again, we only need 13 of these case studies because they would all align with the themes. And once that's done, it means once we've got 13 polls, Mondays are always done. Once we've got 13 case studies, Fridays are always done. Thursday's replay is always just a recap of what we did on the Wednesday. So that's easy. And we've got Wednesday, we got 13 slide templates. So we always do the same 13 events. So then we get good at it. And so the promo post is the same promo post. So we've got 13 promo posts because we've got the same 13 events. Can you see how optimized this is? Can you see how much you've done it? The rhythm really sets you free. And so when I have done this once, 1/4 of this, and produced the stuff with my team, I delegate this to a VA, and then bam, I take my hands off and go back. I just do my 1 hour where I rock up to this event, do the jazz hands, and then let the team go take the rest, right? That, my friends, is exactly how you can set up a clear, repeatable system that can help you to double your income and work half the time or work to the income level that you're targeting. Cool. So I hope that's given you some ideas. I'd love to take a question, and then I'll give you guys the link again into booking one of our or into these swipe files, etc. So let's take the first question. Who's got a question or a thought on it? Sue, go for it.
I can't resist this, Richard. You said you're tearing your hair out. Is that what happened to you?
Yeah.
I couldn't resist that. Sorry.
And then it got very shiny now.
You walked into that, didn't you? Really?
I did. I have to say, I am very on the brink of actually getting a hair transplant. I'm very close. But someone told me that David Beckham has like one of those actual like hair systems. And I don't know if one week I might just turn up with like beautifully done hair, like completely perfect. And they'll be like, well, what happened, Richard? But Sue, it's comments like that that's driving me in towards having my hair transplant. So it's very, very kind of you to point it out.
I shall watch with interest.
Watch with interest. What with interest? Well, look, whilst we think about another question from Gail, let me just quickly introduce to you guys to the opportunity. So, we talk about wanting to make LinkedIn for Breakfast the best place on earth to learn LinkedIn for free. Genuinely, we want to make that happen, and we've got a totally free, no questions asked, LinkedIn profile audit. On your LinkedIn profile, we're going to look at exactly what's your where you can improve it. What's your headline like? What's your banner like? What's your featured section? What should be your call to action? How does that align to the overall strategy we talked about today? And let me just paste that into the chat now. If you jump into this, there's only a few available. We've tried to open up some evening appointments as well, as you can see here, because I know people work, and obviously sometimes it's good to be able to do them in the evenings. But there's some availability here and also on Friday that you'll be able to get your hands on. Please do jump into one of those if you haven't done already. They are really great value. We give you a key set of things to be able to do to your LinkedIn profile to be able to help you raise your awareness on LinkedIn and also generate more leads. It's the best 45 minutes that you will spend genuinely with our team, and we'll give you some really great tips straight off the bat for that. So that's in the chat now. Do jump onto that and book into your free one of those. Gail, over to you.
Hi, Richard. It's
Good
lovely
morning.
to see you again. Thank you for having us. I just want to take you back a few steps to what you were saying earlier, because I made some notes here, so I'm looking at my other screen. You said blow their minds with something great for free, then sell one thing, which was the solution, not a range or a suite of products. Um, to blow your minds with something great for free, is this your weekly moment?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So
Exactly.
it's not just one thing for free, then you can have your 13 things.
Well, so so I think it's about ecosystem. It's so where so start with your weekly moment. It doesn't have to be an event, by the way. It could be a podcast, could be something like that. So let's take something that isn't an event, because you can see this working for an event. Obviously, I run my event, we've got the community, etc. So you can see that as a live example. So let's take a podcast. So if you created a really great quality podcast that released one episode a week, every single week, then your weekly moment is the podcast. And the thing that you're blowing their minds with is the quality of that podcast. You then wrap around that podcast a community, a free community of people that want to continue the conversation with the podcast. And when you do the podcast, you reference it to say, hey, we've got this free group where in the group, we don't just put out the podcast episodes, but we've got clips from extra bits that we put into there. We also have the links to the special swipe files and cheat sheets that our guests give into there. We've got some special discounts that some of our guests give on stuff, that might be interesting. And we do like a little 5-day challenge in there every now and again to be able to get people to cement some of the learning from the podcast. Can you see how it's like a really nice ecosystem that you create? But ultimately, what you're trying to do is draw people into a house, and everybody has a little house party in there, and they love it. And then from there, you then say, well, hey, look, there's some stuff we can do. So, for example, obviously, we teach how you can do all of this LinkedIn stuff, no hold bars. You can just go pick it up and go do it yourself. But if people are interested, and I've mentioned it a little bit today, but if people are interested, we can do that for you, right? If you haven't got enough time, my team can jump onto it. We can give you a VA. The VA can do all of that stuff for you, and it just saves you time. Happy days. And hopefully we've earned your trust by showing you what we would do, by teaching you how to do it yourself. You might try it worked, but you realize it takes some time. And then bam, easy to slot in. You've won some clients. So it makes some sense to be able to spend some money on some people doing stuff for you. Bam, we go in. So you can see how your paid for product really should kind of align with your free. And then it makes a really lovely two pod. It's like a 2-hopper ecosystem. Get lots of people into the one hopper, give them a great experience, and then the right people want to join the other hopper. And that's business.
I have another question that follows on to that, Richard, if you don't mind. What do you think about having a bridging offer between the free stuff and your main thing?
I don't like it. And look, this comes with massive amounts of caveats on this, because I think Richard Ward's on here, who's a client of ours. Now he's a financial advisor. So when you're a financial advisor, there's loads of stuff that you can sell. You can sell life insurance, key man insurance, all of that sort of stuff, as well as looking after their portfolio. But it's about a penetration product. So the flagship product should be the thing that you sell first time for everybody. So you get them in and you go, right, this is the amazing, wicked thing that you should go and buy. So for me, it's $1 Million Sprint. It's the main thing. Now, once you get into a client, so for Richard, it might be he sells a corporate financial pension scheme for a business. So they give a pension scheme out to all their clients. That's his penetration product. Once he does that, then he gets the opportunity to then start to upsell key man insurance to the owners and all the rest of it, because he's in there with his product. So I would still not, because you get like one chance to make a sale in this market. So you get open doors. You make open doors happen because you've given so openly, and then hopefully you can win the opportunity to talk to that person. Once you get the opportunity to speak to the person, give them your best shot with your best product. Don't kind of undersell yourself with like a bridge product, because everybody thinks, oh, it might be easier for them just to buy a couple of £100 thing as opposed to a 10 grand thing or whatever it is, right? But actually, you want to sell them the best thing because they're in the best place to sell them that thing. And then you can upsell them on the bits.
Thank you so much. I
No
love the insights. Thank you.
Well, absolute pleasure. So I hope that helps. Happy to take another question. And just remember, guys, and thank you because I've had a few people who have already booked on because my phone's pinged a few times. But let me just stick the link back into that LinkedIn profile audit. If any of this, even if you want to bounce a few of those ideas and questions that Gil just had or something. Oh, sorry, I think I froze them. But I was saying that if anybody has any further questions or wants to bounce some ideas about their particular situation, you can do all of that in that LinkedIn profile audit. Not only are we going to audit your profile, but we'll also give you some general business advice about some of the structure stuff as well. So definitely do jump into that. And thank you to the people who already have. Cool. So back into the room, guys. Who's got some further questions? David, go for it.
Hey, Richard, sorry, I'm struggling to find raise your hand. I'm not sure.
Look at the heart button below if you're using
Yeah.
it. And it's raise your hand below the little things. And if you want to, you can say how much how much we're rocketing or do all the rest of the fun stuff on there. Anyway, go over to you.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm wondering with, excuse me, some of the larger businesses in terms of employee numbers and turnover and so on, how this methodology works with those as opposed to one-off, one people bands or the smaller businesses. What's your experience?
So are you talking about in terms of the target lifetime goal?
Yeah, so if you're the model, here's something for free, which is brilliant, and here's our flagship model to follow up. How well that works with some of the larger businesses?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely works. But I mean, there's loads of examples. Obviously, going on a social network is free, but then they're how they charge you is through the ads platform. So on the biggest companies in the world work a freemium model. Freemium, a 7-day trial, of some of the software. That's another thing. You'd have to give me a specific industry sector, and I can give you a specific example. Hit me with one, David.
Yeah, so we target the financial services sector in terms of business consultancy. And very much around where are you now and where do you want to go? Something like you're saying, I guess. And then usually on a kind of sprint method.
Yeah.
We go in and help that company.
I like it. So what you want to think about is what is the first stage. So this is the age-old piece, and this will help you also think about your value session. So your one-to-one also could be in a very similar way. So let me just go back to this. So if we think about the result piece, so remember we put together the result and where they are now and the bit that's in here. If you've got this as, say, a 5-step system or what have you, think about step 0 to 1. Now, could you take this and create a whole ecosystem for free below that line and take them to stage 1 from where they are now for free, and then sell them the journey? And it's not selling them 4 packages, a different package for 2, 3, and 4 or 5, but you then sell them everything above here becomes the flagship, and everything below here becomes the free.
Brilliant. Simple. Thank you.
It's cool. And here's the other cool thing, if everybody's thinking about this, what is this first tick here of this piece here before going to here, right? So that could become your one-to-one. So everybody sort of does like let's do a discovery call or a strategy session or a fitting session or whatever it is. Don't do that. Make the first thing that you do. So you're blowing people's mind for free here. So you're giving value here. Then make your one-to-one also a value session. Continue the learn, like a LinkedIn profile audit. One of the first things that we would do if we're going to help someone be able to grow their business is we would think about which social network would be important for them, and then we'd audit it, right? So I'm taking that decision away to go, well, the people that we kind of work with know LinkedIn is important, and we'd have to go and do a profile audit before we even start with someone. So why don't we just do the profile audit for free, and we do all the LinkedIn stuff for free, and then if they are ready, then we can go do steps 2, 3, 4, or 5, right? Boom. And actually, there's 9 steps for us. because we call it core strength. But can you see how you can create that whole ecosystem and also create that whole value session? So you brand the value session, you brand the free, and then the whole thing takes over. So that's how I would. So what would be the first step that you would do? Would you do an audit? Would you do an assessment?
Yeah, I think that's got it clicking now. It's kind of whirling around. With just a little bit of hair left. If you go on the back, I'd say live with what you got.
Yeah, I was going to say. See, well, maybe that's the tip, but because honestly, it's the best thing in the world. I don't have to comb my hair, gel my hair, do anything. Like, perfect. Get out of bed and I'm ready.
Absolutely. So one of our models is called the Power of Four, trademarked, of course, and F is for forensics, if you like an audit. And I think, like you say, that's the giveaway.
Yep.
And then O is for, okay, from that, what are the opportunities? Where do you want to go? What are your opportunities? And that goes into the model, perhaps.
Yeah.
Uniformity, or how do you get consistency end to end on your systems and processes? And R is reaching out. Where are your customers? What are their pain points? How can you overcome them in a small, medium, and big way? And where are they? How do you get them? So I think that the F stands for free as well.
Well, this is the beauty, right? So when you think about this for big corporates, if you then change this figure, so instead of being 4.5 grand, it's 45 grand or whatever, because the 12-month value of a corporate is bigger, then suddenly it will change. You see how all the figures have changed. So your target figure per annum now is just 9 sales. You only need to make a sale. So 2 sales every 3 months, by the looks of this, 0.75 is what you need to make. I think that maths works. So that becomes exciting because you just change that one thing, and suddenly now the whole piece changes. How many leads that you need and all the rest of it. Well, actually, you just need to change what your lead to booking ratio is, etc. But that is hugely exciting when you start to think about. Hello. I've just cocked up my whole sheet now. Hang on. There we go. So that's how you can change this and plan it. So it does work for corporate, it does work for bigger businesses and higher tickets, but it just is messy if you've got 20 odd product lines that you're trying to sell and revenue, etc. Which is why it's not necessarily about the products, about the average client value over 12 months, which means they might still take 3 products, but on average, what's the value of them over 12 months? And that's how you should approach it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Cool. Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, look, remember that profile audit is in the chat there. So even if you click on it and just have it open in another tab, so you can come back to it. Well, I was just finishing off there, but go on, Sue. Is there any other beauty advice for me this morning?
There is a question, and it's not specific to this morning. I have to ask you why, because I stress every week whether I'm going to be able to find the link. Why can't we do it on the calendar in school? I have another regular school meeting, and I go to the calendar, I click that, and it's easy. But every week, why can't we go to calendar?
Why? Because we want people to register for them.
Well, yes, but I've done that, and then it just goes round in a circle. I still do it. I don't understand what's going on.
Well, we'll have a look at it. We'll have a look at it. We'll look at getting the links in, etc. Sometimes when we're getting people registered, there's also bonuses that we do on the thank you page. So
Okay. Well, I don't mind the registering bit if it seemed to work. I can't explain it very well, but I do register. I've tried that several times, and it just keeps going round in a circle, and I still can't actually get on. So I have to. I mean, as I say, every week I stress.
Okay. Well, hopefully we can stop the stress. So we'll have a look at it for you. We'll have a look at it. Great. Right. I'm going to dash. I've got another 10 o'clock now. So I'm going to close this room. And if you're $1 million sprinters and you're going to do the 10 o'clock session with me now, I'm just closing this room, and then do jump back on the link. But for everybody else, I'll either see you on a profile audit or I will see you next week. Hope that helped. Big love. Take care.
Thank you.